Welcome back to ExPhi. Today we're going to be sharing with you the first of the results of our survey of Americans' views on philosophy. So, the question we're looking at today, do Americans believe in objective morality? Now, we just completed a survey of 1,000 randomly selected Americans on their views of a range of topics in philosophy. This video is the first video in a series analyzing these data about what everyday Americans believe about philosophy. For more on the survey methodology, visit carneades.org and check out the blog we just released on this topic because it's going to go into a lot more of the details, the breakdowns, and it will include additional analyses that we're not going to be able to get to here. So, one of the topics we looked at in the survey is the subject of metaethics, which examines what types of things moral statements are. It's not asking the question of, is a particular action moral or not, but rather, what types of things are moral statements? Are they statements of objective fact, expressions of personal opinion, references to cultural norms? When someone says killing is wrong, what do they actually mean? How could we check to see if that statement was true? Check out our video on ethics versus metaethics for more on what metaethics is. In metaethics, many positions are contrasted with moral realism, which broadly asserts three claims. Some moral statements are true. Moral statements refer to properties, good, evil, etc. And the properties moral statements refer to are normal properties. They are like other properties out there in the world. Moral anti-realists, then, generally reject at least one of these claims, and they're classified based on which of these claims they reject. So, first off, error theorists. Error theorists reject the first claim, claiming that moral statements fail to refer to anything real, because moral properties are not actually real things in the world. Moral statements are normal statements, but the properties don't exist, and so they are all false. Santa Claus is downstairs is false because Santa Claus doesn't exist. So are all moral statements. Others reject the third premise, claiming that moral properties do exist, but they are weird in some way. One example of such a position is cultural relativism, which claims that moral statements are only true or false relative to a given culture. One culture might find killing wrong, while another might find it perfectly moral. When someone says killing is wrong, they just mean it is wrong for their culture. Like if you said John is the king, you don't necessarily mean John is the king of everywhere, just that he is the king of whatever country you're in. For the relativist, the same is true of statements like killing is wrong. You're not saying killing is wrong everywhere. You're saying killing is wrong in your culture, in your country. Check out our video on relativism versus subjectivism for more on this position. And finally, others, often called non-cognitivists, deny the second premise and claim that moral statements don't express properties about the world, but are shorthand for a different kind of statement, such as, I don't like killing, or do not kill. Emotivism is one such position, which claims that moral statements are actually statements of how you feel about a particular action. That saying stealing is wrong is equivalent to saying, I don't like stealing, or boo stealing. We have a video going into greater depth on this topic if you are curious. Our survey asked participants which statement best corresponds to their views on ethics, then lists statements matching moral realism, error theory, cultural relativism, and emotivism. For the specifics of these statements, check out the blog. We suspected that a majority of Americans would be realists. It seems like most Americans do believe in objective right and wrong, but we were wrong. This video is going to give you the broad results, but you can check out our blog on the subject for all of the details. So, first off, the top line results. As you can see from the graph above, just over a third of Americans are moral realists, around 36%. Less than 5% are error theorists, and the plurality, though not the majority, are emotivists, or at least said that emotivism most closely corresponds to their view on right and wrong. The margins of error are shown in black above at 95% confidence. Now, there were a number of demographic factors we looked at in these analyses. I'm going to talk about a couple here. There are more in the blog. So both race and religion were statistically significant factors in being associated with these views. Religious nones, that's atheists, agnostics, and people who put nothing in particular, were less likely to be moral realists than everyone else, and more likely to be cultural relativists. Additionally, being non-white also leads to an increase in the chances of being a cultural relativist. As interesting as some of the demographic connections are, the connections to other philosophical views are more interesting and are stronger predictors of these metaethical views. In the blog, we go through a whole thing called a dominance analysis where we look at how all of these different factors impact one's metaethical views and which ones are actually the strongest predictors of them I'm not going to go into the details of that here. If you're interested, check out the blog. It lists out all the different predictors. But one of the strongest predictors of your view on metaethics is your view on the afterlife. Afterlife exclusivists, for example, those who believe that you need to be the true religion to get into the good afterlife. You can't just be a good person that believes in a different religion or follow the rules of the true religion but not believe in it. Those exclusivists are especially prone to moral realism compared to everyone else. Ironically, non-moral exclusivists, who are people who just think you need to believe in the right religion, not even be a good person to get into the good afterlife. These are the people that say even if you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior on your deathbed, even if you've committed a genocide, even if you've done nothing else good in your life, you will get into heaven. Those people, non-moral exclusivists, are the most likely to be moral realists, the most likely to think that morality, objective right and wrong, really exists, despite thinking that you don't need to be a moral person in order to get into heaven. A majority of non-moral exclusivists are moral realists. Read through the blog for even more results and additional details on our methodology. If you want to run your own analyses, the raw data for this question and all of the other questions we asked on this survey can be purchased on our Patreon page, and the money from that will go to fund the next survey that we're going to do. Don't forget, we are running another survey soon. If you want to be a part of it, you can add a Likert statement for just $30 to the question. That's a statement, 150 characters or less, something related to philosophy that people will say strongly agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, or strongly disagree, or you can add a full question up to 1,000 characters, up to 10 responses with 500 characters each for $150, and for that one, we'll throw in a Likert statement for free. See our Patreon page for more details on all of that. Now, what do you think of these results? Did they surprise you? Which of these categories do you fall into? What questions would you like to see asked on future surveys? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Watch this video and more here at ExPhi, and check out more videos like this on carneades.org, and stay skeptical, everybody.